with you. The issue
It's delayed!
Wait, is it true? Is that true?
Yeah, no, Kaden just started screaming and
No.
I don't believe it.
Oh my god.
I don't believe it.
Yeah,
All right,
him do it.
let me read it. To the WoW community, I wanted to let you know that we're delaying the release of Shadowlands to later this year. And while we're still in the process of determining the right date to launch, we felt that it was important to let you know about this change in plans as soon as we could. This is an incredibly difficult decision for the team, as we are eager to get the expansion into your hands as you play it, but ultimately, we feel it's the right decision for the game and for our players. Over the past several months of testing, we've made significant progress iterating and polishing the core features and gameplay of Shadowlands. We're at a point where the zones, the campaign, the level up questing experience, and the story that we are ready to tell is essentially ready to share. We're excited by the covenants at the heart of the expansion, and it's been a thrill to see Torghast take shape into a new kind of WoW experience. Thanks in no small part to your input. However, as everything started coming together, and we've been listening to and building your feedback, it's been increasingly clear that we need a little more time for additional polish and to balance and iterate on some of the interlocking pieces, particularly those related to the endgame. Shadowlands is one of the most intricate expansions we've created yet, and while we've made great progress, the challenge of tuning the endgame was compounded by the team having to work from home. Blizzard has a commitment to quality. We believe Shadowlands will be something special, and we've heard from many of you who feel the same. We need this extra time to ensure Shadowlands lives up to its full potential. In the meantime, we're excited to announce that beginning October 13th, we're releasing the Shadowlands pre-patch, which lays a lot of the groundwork for the expansion and includes our revamped character leveling new player experience on Exile's Reach and a host of other new character customization options. And once we get closer to Shadowlands release, you'll be called upon to defend Azeroth against the resurgence of the Scourge during our pre-launch event.
I gotta say, I think that this is one of the best things that we've seen from the company in a very long time, and I think this is a huge step in the right direction, and it's given me a boost of confidence. It's funny that this is what we needed to have a boost of confidence in the expansion.
I can't believe it, man. I cannot fucking believe it. Like, it's one thing, like, I looked at it as like, you know what, this is gonna be a win-win, you know? It's actually getting fucking delayed.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's good. It's huge.
Well, I'm trying to think of parallels that have ever happened at Blizzard. Like
Burning Crusade. That is
Burning
the parallel.
Crusade, I was too young to remember stuff.
Burning
So
Crusade
I
was
actually
originally
don't-
going to come out in 2006, and Blizzard said that it was not ready, it was not up to their quality standards, and they said, you know what? We're going to skip the holiday season, and we're going to release this game in the finished state in the way that it should be.
But that didn't have. Did that have a full date, or did that have an estimated date?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't actually. I actually don't remember.
That's the only thing, and I'm not saying either way because I actually don't know. But
Yeah, I actually don't remember either.
I think that there's a pretty large difference with, hey, we're aiming for this season, and this game is coming out on the 27th. Like, we had a firm date. Like, think about it this way. You go back to Wrath of the Lich King, there has never been a missed feature on the box since Wrath of the Lich King, for example, right? When they actually have like that box art come out, when they have all of those things come out, like when they say that they're going to do something, when they actually give a firm date, I don't think that they've ever gone back, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're taking notes from Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Yeah,
On top of
obviously,
missed features
you
as well.
You can only fuck up so many times until people think you're a fuck up.
Path of Titans wasn't on the box in Cataclysm though.
Dance Studio was, but like the point is that it's still the same thing.
It's a big deal. Like this is a very big deal.
Huge big deal. And I also want to say that after everybody was telling me how, this is not, everybody's going to be upset about it and it's going to be bad, etc. Everybody here is happy. Do as much polishing as you need, Blizzard. We would rather have a great game than an early one. Like, everybody is saying exactly what I said was going to happen. Like, everybody's happy about this. This is great. this is a huge success and a huge win for the community.
I mean, even if it is a few weeks, right? As little as a few weeks, like,
Yeah.
if that's the time that it takes for them to feel comfortable and like, hey, it's ready, then great. I mean, it just, as long as, to me, as long as it's ready to go, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
it clearly wasn't.
I honestly, they could have delayed it a week or two and it would have been a positive. I hope that it's a much longer delay. I hope that they fix the things that they need to in the game, because a trend that was already happening, when you are in crunch and all of a sudden you need to get something out, you need to take some of the faster options, right? Like let's say you have a bunch of different covenants and they have really unique abilities and you're trying to get classes to be balanced. And I think everybody's already seen that the difference between the covenants was substantial and it was not very equal between a multitude of specs. So the quickest way to fix that problem, and this is obviously coming from my perspective, would just be to nerf everything and try to balance it and make it as baseline as possible. What do you get? You get a very homogenized, flat experience that doesn't do covenants justice. It makes all of the classes feel way worse. You're not excited about your new abilities that you're actually getting inside of the expansion. And if they were rushing, then all of a sudden everything's going to be existing that way. Everything's going to be completely flattened. If they have a little bit of time, the game actually has room to grow.
We just want the game to be good. I think that's all it comes down to, and I'm glad that Blizzard shares that sentiment. I think everybody that saw the beta and saw the state that it was in could realize that there were a ton of problems that the game had, and here we are. Now, you know, it seems like we're actually on the road to recovery. I mean, the thing is that, like, Blizzard has never released 2 bad expansions in a row. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, people are very happy about this. This is fucking great, man. Like, I knew this was going to happen, too. Like, that's what's so good about this, is that I think this actually gives people a certain degree of, like, it gives them confidence, I would say. Yeah, it gives them actual confidence.
Now, here's the bad part about it, is and this is more like on an individual basis, but for the people who maybe they took off some time from work or whatever, like individually, like it kind of sucks for those people, but it's just how it is sometimes.
Hopefully it's enough time, right? And this goes back to one of the things.
What do you want to do? You want to sit at home all day and play with a piece of shit? Like, you want to play a broken ass busted game? No. Like, here's the thing. Like, I would rather look forward to coming home to playing a game that I love than spending all day at home playing a game that I hate.
Well, here's the thing. You've been doing that for 15 years, so what's going to be any different?
So I've got a lot of practice, and I know for sure I don't like it. There you go.
So
got a lot of experience.
Look, sometimes it's nice to have some change.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're going to hashtag pull the ripcord? Do you think that they're buying time to actually make that make sense? Or do you think that they're buying time to make the covenants work? I
think they're buying time to make the game work.
Yeah, like, I'm curious which way it goes, though, right? Because a lot of people are saying no. It's like one of those things where I wonder how much time they actually buy and how much they can actually make things change. Because we talk about some of the things that are wrong. Even today, it's like little things that don't seem super significant that add up very quickly. I know, Asmon, you were talking about the leveling experience and XP tuning. Things like that, you know, they buy more time, they're going to be able to make that salvageable. But do you think that we're going to see big changes with the soul conduits, which really hadn't been tested too much? Do you think go ahead?
We're going to see big changes. It's hard to say that we're going to have big changes, but I think that'll be it'll be more substantial than what we were saw if they didn't do the delay. Like, yeah, a lot of people are just shocked about it. That's what I'm kind of reading here. And like almost everybody is like, thank fucking God, I'm okay with this.
I mean, I think up to January. I think any later than January would be bad. But they did say this year, which is good. But I think any later than January is kind of like, okay, this is dragging on. But, you know, for the most part, like as long as they get it right, they get it right, right?
If they get it right, it doesn't matter. Like, I just play another game, play something else. Like, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, people are going to come back to WoW. They're going to play the new WoW expansion. That's what really matters the most. And so, like, making sure that the experience is good is really what matters. Like, at this point, I really think Blizzard should take this extra time to look at the way these conduits work look at especially the cooldown with conduits, the 1 week cooldown. I really don't like that. I think it's just like unnecessarily restrictive, and it just like it prevents people from testing and trying out new things. And I think that's what people want to be able to do. And so I hope they make that decision. I think honestly, we just want to see more feedback and more communication in terms of classes. I think that's probably the biggest weak point that the game has, is that like the game doesn't really have the classes in the way that it should have them. And like what I mean by that, like that's very unclear and like weird. But like what I'm saying is, like, for example, monks, I know that some of their abilities just simply don't function properly, and those things need to be fixed, and the classes need to be working functionally and properly and working well and being fun to play. And I think that should be Blizzard's #1 priority. Like what I'm thinking now is, like, I just hope that they have this time and they can really just make the game good. Because like ultimately, like I'd rather wait for a finished good product than just play something that's like kind of mediocre. And like the weird thing about that is, like, I know we talked about this whenever BFA was coming out. Like we thought that would be better for Blizzard to just get the expansion out and just get it in people's hands and let them play it as soon as possible. That's what I was saying in BFA, and it turned out to be completely fucking wrong.
Yeah. Which as far as like, have you noticed this happens a lot with the WoW community? Like people say we want this, and then they're like, okay, and then it's like, wait, this sucks.
So they think they do, but they don't.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of that with the WoW community, and now I do think to some degree it's like Blizzard doesn't implement it right, but then there's also times where like the players ask for something and they don't really know what they're asking for, like PvP templates, right? Like,
good example. Great example.
Going back to Legion, and everybody's PvP templates. We need this. I mean, you know, that way we can level alt so we can play and do this. But then you have templates and it's like, well, now it's just dumb, right? It screws it up and it doesn't really feel like you're building your character and all this stuff.
So I agree wholeheartedly, but it's really the developer's job, right? And to have that bridge between the community management and the developers to parse what it actually means, what the feedback actually means, and say, okay, just because they say they want this, I use like your chat's gonna freak out if I say this word. There's a term in game design. Yeah, I'm just gonna say there's a term in game design called cocaine logic, right? Like the idea is like it's just like more. I want more. I want this. This feels good. Getting XP feels good. The player is going to want to just instantly get all of the XP in the world. But the thing is if you give them that, the game has no longevity. It loses its meaning. It loses its value. That's why you gate it behind doing certain tasks. And that's the whole job of the game developer, is like, okay, wait, they said XP feels good. How do we keep this experience as a fresh one? How do we keep it as one they remember? I saw a lot of people saying to check Bellular's tweet. He said, I predict last week of November, first week of December is kind of and this is basically what Twitter is right now. It's everybody just trying to predict when they actually think the game is going to come out. But S-Fan, I feel like you bring up a really good point, and Asmon as well. Just this idea of the developers need to figure out the what the community is saying and what that actually means. Saying that covenants are bad might not actually mean that covenants are just bad, period. What are the reasons that are causing these pain points?
Right, absolutely. And that's another thing, is sometimes like the message ends up getting lost, right? Or people say, and this is something I think all developers do. I don't think this is a Blizzard specific thing or a WoW specific thing or anything, where a lot of times players are like, we want this, or like, I don't like this. And then the developers go and they want to listen to their community, and by listening to their community, they hear that part and then they do that thing. And that's bad. I think what they need to do a lot of times is, okay, they're saying this. Let's find out why they're saying this and come up with a solution to attack that problem. And it's a regular issue that you see in all games. It happens time and time again. And then they're like, well, we listen to you guys. You know, we just want to listen to the community. And it's like they're like trying to farm good favor by doing it. But sometimes they don't actually know what's best for them, or like they don't understand why they like something or why they don't like something. And, you know, I including myself, including all of us, like we're all players. And sometimes we're like, oh, we like this, and we don't know why we like it. We just like it.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments where, and it's not the job of the player to adequately describe what it is about the system that's causing them to feel different things at a certain time. Sometimes the game just feels good, right?
Mhm.
And it really is on the developer to develop the game, try to figure out those different things, try to figure out what they're hearing from the community. The player doesn't need to write an essay. The player needs to play the game and be like, yeah, I like it. Like, this is great. But I think that we can finally get to the place where we do get there. I think every warlock on Twitter the past few weeks has been enraged through it. Like I keep seeing every warlock's tweets get progressively more and more angry. And warlocks aren't necessarily even a class that I think is in the worst place at all. I just feel like for some reason they tend to be the loudest on Twitter. And a lot of that is around the covenants. Then we had the video today that Asmon was watching about the leveling experience. And it did feel like pretty much every aspect of the game wasn't in a place where it should ship.
Well, it was different, right? And like if Blizzard had changed their philosophy about leveling to quests are not all you can do or all you need to do, you need to also do like dungeons. You need to also grind mobs like in Classic WoW. That's how it used to be. So if they're changing their philosophy, then I want to hear that. But based off of what we've seen, based off of the last 6 expansions, that's not the route they've gone down. So it was very clear that it seemed like it was very unfinished. And I'm very glad they've changed that thing there.
I will say, though, to look at it holistically, on the beta, the idea of leveling from 1 to 50, I already think that is implemented pretty well. And I think Exile's Reach is a good 1 to 10 experience that will actually get more people in the funnel of the game and have them potentially playing. I think that they did hit that on the head. So that's fantastic. Yeah. That hasn't been done in years, and it's been getting increasingly difficult to actually have a new player start playing the game.
I'd love to see them incorporate more types of max level questing and other types of rewards around that. Like if they incorporated certain different zones and areas in the game for, little dailies. I loved what they did with the Arathi Highlands, where you're able to go back into the new zone and kill all the rares. I'm disappointed that they didn't have more quests in the area and other things that you could have done. If they could have done basically, like, I feel like Nazjatar had a lot of problems, especially with like the terrain, but I really liked the questing layout of Nazjatar, and I think the questing in Nazjatar was the best in all of the zones in BFA. And I would have loved to have seen the questing paradigm in Nazjatar with a combination of world quests, group quests, a campaign quest. I'd love to have seen that been extrapolated and used in other places in the game, like Dark Shore, and Dark Shore to an extent was, but it wasn't that big. But like with Dark Shore, Arathi Highlands, and also with Oldham.
I think that I agree with you by and large with the mixing of systems. I think that was very healthy, and it was actually something that you and I had talked about on Allcraft a whole bunch that we wanted to see. Just because one system is working, whether it's dailies or world quests, it doesn't mean that there can't be interplay between those different questing experiences. But one big problem that I had with Nazjatar, which soured a lot of the experience for me, even though I would like to see some of those philosophies carried over into other zones, the verticality in that zone made it very difficult to traverse, and I didn't like having to get from place to place in Nazjatar, even though the zone was beautiful. Yeah.
It sucks. Like whenever you get flying in Nazjatar, it goes from the worst zone to a good zone. Actually a great zone, maybe. I really like Nazjatar. But before, it's the funny thing is, like, I even said despite the terrain or besides the terrain, and people are like, yeah, but what about the terrain? Like, that's how bad it really was.
And that's the thing. It goes back to the other thing that you were talking about and S-Fan were talking about. It's as a player, you shouldn't really need to separate that.
Well, that's the first impression. Because most people have flying now that play the game, but they still don't like the zone based off of their first impression.
Yeah, I think that, not to harp on this too much, but when you do look at some of those zones, like Nazjatar, there is this weird disconnect with flying where it's only good when flying is there, and it's not like zones were in Wrath when flying almost made the game feel like a Metroid Castlevania type game where you actually had access to more things. The zone felt good without flying, but once you had flying, it was like, holy crap, I can get on the top of that mountain that I've always wanted to get on the top of. And I do think that they should move back to zones like that. Obviously, in modernity, I feel like some of the zones that were solid, you kind of look at Stormheim, right? I think Stormheim had some solid moments for flying that kind of felt interesting, But for the most part, I think you look back to Wrath of the Lich King, and I think it was Pinnacle Flying. I think Cold Weather Flying was actually the best variant that we ever had.
There were a few cool places in like Deepholm, and a few cool places in just the generally Cataclysm zones that I think flying was great for. And Cataclysm zones, like flying around and doing the Hyjal quests, etc. That was great. I love that. So I don't think that it's impossible for them to add flying, but you're right in terms of unlocks, like being able to fly up to Tempest Keep, like being able to fly up to Mechanar or to Botanica. That's awesome. And like being able to fly over to the island where the Nether Drakes were in Shadowmoon Valley. Like, these were really, really cool. And this is the thing that, like, I'm disappointed about, is that flying could be this incredible, cool, fun thing. And I just feel like all the time they make flying like this unfortunate reality that just kind of makes the game more boring. Like, I know I talked to Preach about this, and I'd love to see flying used in the same way that it was used in in Storm Peaks. I'd love to see it used in the same way that it was used in Netherstorm back in the day. Like that would be amazing.
Wow. Well, that definitely changes the course of the show. Well, we kind of Yvonne, I feel like
let's just stick to the script, right? Let's just stick to the script. So, do you guys really think they might delay Shadowlands?
I think that they will.
I don't know, man. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I think it would be really surprising if they did that.
It really would be, but it'd be a big dick move and be the right call. So you know what? Maybe they might do it.